You ignored every warning. This is serious negligence.
I was scared. I didn't know what to do.
The ultrasound technician froze, her eyes darting from the screen to my husband's looming figure. This wasn't the routine checkup Julian had promised. It was the moment my carefully constructed reality began to shatter. The doctor stepped in, looked at the monitor, and then looked at me with a gaze so heavy it felt like a warning. The gel was ice cold. A sharp contrast to the stifling heat of Julian's hand gripping mine. He always held my hand during appointments, a gesture the nurses called romantic. But today his knuckles were white. My breath hitched as the monitor flickered to life, displaying the grainy, gray world of my womb. "Is everything okay?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Julian's grip tightened until my bones winced. "The heartbeat is strong, Elena," Dr. Aris said. Though she didn't look at me, she looked at Julian. "But there's something unusual in the scan. Something that doesn't align with the medical history you provided." Julian cleared his throat, his voice smooth as silk. "We've been through a lot of specialists, doctor." Perhaps it's just scar tissue from her previous surgeries. I blinked, confused. "What surgeries, Julian? I've never had surgery." The room turned freezing. Dr. Aris finally turned the screen away, her eyes boring into mine with a look of profound pity. "Elena, I need to speak with you alone." Julian didn't move. He stood like a statue, his shadow looming over the examination table. "I don't think that's necessary, doctor. Elena is fragile. She needs me to translate these medical complexities." The way he said fragile felt like a silken noose tightening around my neck. I looked at the man I'd shared a bed with for 5 years, suddenly seeing a stranger. "Mr. Thorne, I will call security if I have to," Dr. Aris stated, her hand hovering near the desk phone. Julian's jaw tightened, a muscle leaping in his cheek, but he finally retreated. The click of the door felt like a starting pistol. I sat up, clutching the paper gown to my chest. "What is it?" I breathed. "Is the baby sick?" "The baby is fine," she said, leaning in. Her voice dropped to a frantic whisper. "Elena, I'm looking at your records. Julian submitted your history from a private clinic in the city. He's been signing off on your chronic condition for 3 years. He's had you on heavy doses of medication for a neurological imbalance. You do and have. I take those for my migraines," I argued, my head spinning. "He gives them to me every night." "Those aren't migraine pills, Elena. They are heavy sedatives used to induce memory gaps and compliance." She grabbed a printed sheet. "He's been erasing your autonomy. You need to leave him. You need to divorce him before you leave this hospital." The walls of the small exam room felt like they were closing in. Memory gaps? I echoed, the words tasting like copper. My mind raced back through the last 3 years, the hazy mornings, the missed birthdays, the way Julian always stepped in to finish my sentences because I seemed tired. I wasn't tired. I was drugged. I looked down at my hands, the hands that had blindly accepted a glass of water and a white pill every single night. "He told me I was sick," I whispered, tears blurring the harsh fluorescent lights. "He told everyone I was struggling with reality. My own mother stopped calling because he said I needed undisturbed rest." Dr. Aris gripped my shoulder, her eyes urgent. "That's why he didn't want this ultrasound here. He's used a private, family-owned clinic for years to forge these records, but he couldn't hide the biological truth. Elena, the scarring he mentioned, it's not from surgery. It has evidence of long-term chemical suppression that failed because your body is fighting for this. Pregnancy." The door handle rattled violently. Julian's muffled voice came through the wood, no longer smooth, but jagged and demanding. "Elena, it's been 10 minutes. Open this door. You're getting worked up. I can hear your heart rate rising on the monitor." "Don't let him in," I gasped, looking at the lock. "I won't," Dr. Aris promised, grabbing her cell phone. "But Elena, look at me. He didn't just lie about your health. I checked the insurance files. He linked to your account. You aren't just his wife. You are the sole beneficiary." A loud crash shook the doorframe. The door burst open, the lock splintering as Julian stormed in, his eyes wild with a terrifying mix of rage and calculated concern. "She's having an episode," he shouted at the nurses rushing into the hallway. "Get away from her, doctor. You're confusing her." He reached for me, his hand extending like a claw, but I didn't flinch. For the first time in years, the fog in my brain had lifted, replaced by a cold, crystalline fury. Don't touch me, I said, my voice low and steady. It was the sound of a woman waking up from a long, dark sleep. Julian froze, his expression flickering between a snarl and a smile. Elena, darling, you're confused. The medication you used to keep me a prisoner in my own mind? I interrupted, standing tall despite the flimsy paper gown. Dr. Aris showed me the insurance files, Julian. My father's trust fund. The one you said was lost in the market crash? It's been sitting there, fueling your lifestyle while you kept me sedated enough to never ask questions. The silence that followed was absolute. Julian's face transformed, the mask of the loving husband dissolving into the cold features of a predator caught in the light. He saw the security guards behind the doctor. He saw the police officer entering the wing. He realized the power had shifted irrevocably. This isn't over, he hissed, but he was already being led away. I looked at the ultrasound one last time. The truth was painful, but it was mine. Cruelty is loud, but my silence was finally over.